Alright, so project number 9, you're actually going to be downloading 3 different files. You're going to download your start file. So we're going to open our wizard. You're going to download your start file. Let's put your names in there. You're going to download the instruction file. And you're going to download this resource bundle, which is where we're going to create some macros. So I'm going to click save, and it downloads as a zip file. But we'll use that in a minute. So I'm going to open up my start file, and I've actually already got my instruction file open. There we go. Alright, so what we want to do is you're going to open up your start file and click enable editing. And then on the instructions it tells you, it's kind of backwards, it tells you to set the macro security and display the developer tab. But first you have to actually have the developer tab. So you're going to click on File, Options, Customize Ribbon, click on Developer, and hit OK. Now I'm going to go and change my macro security. And so we want to change it to Enable All Macros. So write down here, Enable All Macros, and hit OK. Next, we're going to open up the Wherever Macros file from our resource bundle. And we're going to save it as an Excel macro enabled workbook. So I'm going to click on my zipped file and open up my Wherever Macros. Click Enable Editing, and we're going to save it as a macro enabled file. So I'm going to click Save As. I'm going to put it in my Project 9 folder and Excel macro enabled workbook, and click Save. So now I've got 2 different files open, my start file with my name and then my copy of my Wherever Macros file. Step number 9, we're going to return back to our name file. And then we're going to make a copy of the inventory sheet and give it a tab color of green accent 4. So I'm going to right click on my inventory sheet, move our copy, we're going to move it to the end and create a copy. It's going to give it a new name of inventory 2, and I'm going to change the tab color to green accent 4. And that just helps me differentiate, can't say that word, between the 2 different files. Step number 6, we're going to run the reorder macro on the inventory 2 sheet. And what it does is it applies conditional formatting to anything less than 2 or less, is what the macro is. So inventory 2, I'm going to click on macros. We've got our reorder, and we're going to click run. So anything 2 or less, it's going to tell me to put a conditional formatting. Your next step is to hit Control Home so that you can see the actual formatting. Control Home just takes you to cell A1. You can just click on A1 as well. Step number 8, you're going to edit your macro in your line of code. So what we're going to do is click the macros button. So I'm going to come back to my name file, and I'm going to click macros, and I'm going to edit this file now, or this macro. And what we're going to do is we're going to change our formula from 3 on this line to 2. So anything less than 2 is going to have that conditional formatting. And then I'm going to add an extra line at the end, and I'm going to copy one of the rows, and I'm going to change one of the rows. So we'll get down to where we copy it. And so I'm going to be on my name file, and I have my macros open. So we're going to change that to 2. And then to select, it tells you have to have a white arrow. If I'm over here by the range the line, it's not going to be a white arrow. To select it, you have to drag it out to the left a little bit. And now I can select. And then I'm going to hit Control C on my keyboard. I actually have to bring in the blank line and then hit Control V. And there's my range that I wanted. And then step H tells us to change it to A1 instead of the whatever it has in there, so that when I am done with my running that conditional formatting, it's going to return to cell A1 back to that home cell. And then you can just close the button at the top corner and it will automatically update it for us. So that's on my inventory 2 worksheet. Now we're going to assign a macro button. So I want to be on the inventory worksheet right here. Notice I don't have any macros running because we're going to create a button that I can just click to run the macro. So on my developer tab in my insert form control button, I'm going to click it and put it between J3 and K3. And I want to use, if we come back to the instructions, I want to use the reorder macro and hit OK, and then we're going to change the label to say this sentence right here. And so I'm going to hit OK, and then I'm going to make it say, click here, and I can't remember, to find items for reorder. Make sure that you get that punctuation in there and that you capitalize and everything is spelled correctly, or it will mark you wrong on that. So I'm going to click out of it, deselect the control, and then click it to run the macro. So as I click, it runs the macro, and it's going to be a little different because we did change it from 3 to 2. And notice it took me back to A1 once that conditional formatting was set. Now we're going to record a macro where we're going to insert the date into cell A2. So we want to be back on our macros worksheet, which is our copy of. And we're going to click on the developer tab, and it kind of walks you through this. It tells you to disable the use relative references. It shouldn't be selected, but that's right here on the left side. If it's selected, if it's grayed, you just deselect it. And then we're going to record our macro name today with a shortcut of using our Control-Shift-D and a description of insert date in cell A2. Oh, let's make sure we're on the copy one. So I'm going to record a macro named today. I'm going to use the shortcut key D, and it's going to say insert, let me make sure what it's saying, insert date in cell A2. And there's no punctuation on that. And then we're going to hit OK. And then we're going to record our macro, or we're still recording, so I'm going to click in cell A2. I'm going to hit equal, start typing 2, which pops up our today function. If I hit tab and enter, it will put that in there for me. And then our next step is to stop recording and go Control Home. So I'm going to stop recording and hit Control Home, and it takes me to A1. And then I'm going to return to our regular file, our startup file with our name, and we're going to use our shortcut Control-Shift-D to run the macro on the inventory sheet. So if I hit Control-Shift-D on my keyboard, it inserts the date in A2 and runs that macro. Again, make sure you're on that inventory sheet. And then next we're going to close our macro file. So I'm going to save and close. And then we want to disable all macros with notifications. So again, it tells you to hide the developer tab and change the security. You've got to change security first and then hide it. So we're going to disable all macros with notification. So that's on my developer tab under macro security. Disable all macros with notification, hit OK. And now I can hide my developer tab under options, customize ribbon, deselect developer, and hit OK. So now my tab is gone. And now I can save and close my workbook and upload my file. So I'm just going to hit save. It's going to give you a warning. That's okay, just hit OK. And then hit close out your file. And back in here you can upload your name file. You don't have to upload anything else, just that name file. And submit your file, and it takes a few minutes. And then make sure if you do something wrong that you check and make sure what you did wrong. It will tell you step by step how to correct that. If you're still not sure how to correct it, send me an email and I'm more than happy to help you get 100%. There's no reason not to get 100%, especially when I make a video on how to do it. But if you have questions, feel free to email me. Good luck.